Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing a review of the final episode of The Dark Winds, Season 2. And there's a Navajo name, and if I try to pronounce it, I don't think you'll care, and you won't know.
What was it?
I'd have to look. I didn't write it down.
I will interpret it. Give me your phone.
It's the first part's 2 syllables, and the last...
Okay, I got it.
Oh, you
This
don't.
episode is called Bullshit.
Oh, God.
And that is Navajo for Dark Winds, the show.
And
Suck on that.
And I did finish the People of Darkness book, too. I finished it a couple of days ago. It's not really long compared to some other books I've read, so it didn't take long. It's very easy to... All his books are very easy to read, very clear, detailed, but the detail isn't... It doesn't drag on or anything. It's simple and easy to read and good. But not like this episode. So I don't even know where to begin, and I guess I'll let Marco. I guess he's already begun. We didn't think too much of it, and I did go back. At the beginning we had a problem with our dinner, and so we missed the intro. You know, they'll have like an intro scene, and they'll show something, and then they'll start with the song and the it's called Dark Winds, and then they start playing the episode. Well, we missed the intro.
Yeah, what happened was dinner was not ready at 9 o'clock, like usual. And so I had to cook a separate dinner because I wasn't going to stand for it, and I won't stand for it anymore at all. And so I had to make dinner, and even though supposedly the dinner had been cooked all day, didn't really seem to matter much to me.
It did. It was cooked since 1 o'clock or something.
Oh, well, that really didn't make much of a difference.
No,
So,
it didn't.
I missed the opening scene. I don't really care anyways, because as soon as Safi told me that the main villain was shot by Mr. Vines, I was like, yeah, okay, this episode's an F-. I don't want to watch the show anymore. And I don't even care about what happens for the rest of the episode. Like, you do something that stupid, I'm not going to care anymore. It's the same thing of like, it would be equivalent to if in Breaking Bad, back when they were on, if they had killed like the main villain of a season in an opening scene of an episode, and then the rest of the episode was them trying to get like a secondary villain who isn't really very intimidating, and then nothing really happens at all. Like, it would have been terrible. Like, everyone would have complained. They would have said, this is trash. Breaking Bad sucks. But because this is a show about Native American people, you have all these people pretending like it's good. And they're all saying it's a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, okay. You can sit there and lie and pretend like this shit is good, but that doesn't make it good objectively. Objectively, this was a trash piece of shit episode. Even if you take away the book that I haven't read, even if you take the book away, this is a piece of shit episode. It's terrible. I would never watch it again. I don't want to watch season 3, 4, whatever. I don't care. Because it's trash.
Well, I'll watch it again, but it was so disappointing. I was glad to have watched that intro, though, because it did. But still, what happened was, I mean, the whole season, they have run after this bad guy. He's been like a really big main character, and they've showed him making the bombs and sitting in his trailer, making his food, showing his things, how careful he is, and And then in this intro scene, it's not even in the regular show. He goes, remember, he escaped at the end of the last episode. It's like Michael Myers, he can't be apprehended. He escapes. And he escaped, and he's on the run. And so what does he do? He heads to B.J. Vines' house. And he trudges up there, and he gets in the courtyard, and of course B.J. Vines is there. He sees him, and he says, if you go any farther, I'll shoot you. And then the guy puts his hands up. He doesn't try to fight, and he says, do you know who I am? Well, I was thinking, well, does he know, like, about his mother and where she is and who he is? I thought, but he just meant that he's the hired killer that he's been talking to on the phone for many, 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 many months and years, and they've never met face to face before. That's what he meant. And so he lets him come in the house. The guy's got a huge gun in the back of his pants, takes it out, puts it on the table, and then he tells him that Leaphorn knows that Vines was behind everything and that he hired him. He suspects that. And then he gives him all the money that's in the safe. That's what he says. He says it's not $5,000. And then the guy leaves, and he says, gives him some keys, because he said there's a Jeep a mile or two away from the place if you go in this direction, and tells him where to go. Go to near Durango, which is Colorado. And then he walks away, shoots him in the back and kills him. And then out of his pocket or whatever, he pulls out that little metronome. I don't know what it's called, the thing that ticks back and forth. For some reason, the bad guy has saved that and puts it in his pocket. Well, because this B.J. Vines likes to have keepsakes. Oh, and he talks about the box. He said, I destroyed the box.
Is this where you're going to do the whole review?
No, just this part.
Oh, okay.
And,
because nobody cares.
And
everybody's turning off the video. And you're like coughing, too.
Okay, like it's a souvenir. So that's it. He shoots him in the back. He's dead. B.J. Vines.
Yeah, we already went over that.
Okay.
We just said that.
That was just that. That was just that little intro scene. And that was it. The bad guy never shows up again because he's dead. And in the end, that sheriff mentions him, says nobody can find him. Nobody knows where he is. I think he thinks Leaphorn killed him or something.
Are you going to do that the whole review? Is that going to be what you add to this review? Like coughing and just saying what happened to people who already watched the episode?
Maybe they didn't watch the episode.
Then why would they be watching this video?
Okay, so I'm done.
Yeah. So anyways, maybe Safi can go sit in another room and cough for 50 minutes. Nothing really happened for the rest of the episode. Like, just a bunch of random stuff that, didn't really matter to me because the main villain was taken out of the picture. But it was really weird because they didn't even act like the main villain. Like, they didn't even act like he existed. Like, the whole episode, they never brought him up again except for Joe Sleephorn showing Mr. Vines the part of the metronome that he took off of his dead corpse. Other than that, they just kind of pretended like he didn't escape, and they didn't look for him at all, and it was bizarre. It was like, God, this show is written by a bunch of retards, because, like, I don't know, like, I don't even understand, like, how they could have written this and thought it was an acceptable show to do. Like, it didn't make any sense at all. And then it turned into like a SJW woke agenda thing with white justice versus Indian justice, which was a bunch of bullshit because they were just about to put a white guy to death. They were going to put the main bad guy, they were going to put him to death. But then you have Joe Sleephorn's father, and he goes on this little preachy tangent about white justice versus Indian justice. And I was like, yeah, like, where was the bombers? Where was his white justice privilege, whatever the fuck? Where was his white privilege when Joe Sleephorn was abusing him for an entire day? That other episode. And then where was his white privilege when Joe Sleephorn was abusing him in the interrogation room and threatening to scalp him? Like, he didn't really have much white privilege there, and he didn't really have much white privilege when he was being taken away to the FBI so that he could get executed. So, like, what's the deal with, like, this retarded ass shit with this social justice agenda? Like, why was that suddenly put in there? Like, God, we watched this show for 2 years, and it took these fuckers 12 episodes for them to finally make things about race, like they always do. And it's like, I don't want to watch that show. Like, I just watched 11 episodes of a show where they didn't make things about race, and all of a sudden in this episode they have to pull out the race card. And it's like, fuck off. I don't want to watch this trash. Like, this is terrible. I wish I never even watched the show to begin with, because this was just so bad and so poorly written that I would be embarrassed if I had my name on the show. Like, yeah, Robert Redford has his name on this show. It's like, now Robert Redford's name is like, he's really going downhill, because, like, if this is the stuff that he's going to associate himself with, then, you know, he's not really that much of a star anymore, you know. So he's going to associate himself with trash written shows like this.
Well, the first 3 episodes were really good, but it just took a nosedive after that. It was just so disappointing. I mean, it did help me a little bit to not entirely flunk it, to see that little intro episode, but they've made the whole series about that bad guy, and then they just take him out before the show even begins. That just doesn't make any sense.
That's bad writing.
And you think they would have, even in the book, the bad guy wasn't taken out until the end.
Yeah.
Of the book. So, I mean, and I did look up Bernie Manuelito, and she does go to the Border Patrol. In fact, she starts off there, and in like 5 books from now. And I wanted to look it up and make sure that that's really what happened.
But in this, it's worse, because she's leaving her people, who she cares so much about, and she cares about representing my culture and not representing the books that were written. She cares so much about her people that she abandons them so that she can go be a man at the Border Patrol and have like a higher position and have more power. It's like, wow, I hate her character now. Like, she didn't do shit this whole episode, too. Like, all she did this whole episode was sit around at a desk and make stupid faces. And then at the end, she has this dumb line where she tells Jim Cheese she wishes he would have come sooner. And then she... and then she kisses him. And then she leaves. And then they ripped off the Batman, you know, the 3-hour Batman movie where at the end Batman and Catwoman drive in different directions. And and Safi thought, oh, this is going to be like those shitty ass cliches where, you know, the character turns around. But it's like, no, she keeps on going because she wants to go be her strong, independent woman at the Border Patrol. And I was like, yeah, fuck you. Fuck your shitty ass character. You didn't do shit this whole episode. You're useless. You're a stupid character. You're a terribly written character, and I don't want to see you ever again in television because, like, what are they going to do next? Like, have it be at the end of next season she comes back, and then Jim Chi leaves again so that he can go, I don't know, what's he going to go do? Like, become a fucking car salesman or some shit? Like, this was just so bad. It was unbelievably bad.
Yeah, what happens was she got, I think the final nail in the coffin for her was she said that she was upset because, Vines got arrested because he planned everything with all the bombing. He hired the hired killer.
Oh yeah, they had this, and before Safi just recaps the episode instead of reviewing the episode, they had this part that was like an X-Files where they magically found this new evidence from that Squeeze guy years and years later. They had the same thing where Joe Sleephorn and his dad go to the mine where his fake son exploded. And they found this magic new evidence there. And they used that to arrest Mr. Vines.
And so and that's when that white justice and all that's what she was referring to. He said, well, he's not gonna, he got that judge elected, and it's because he's rich.
Yeah, it has nothing. Yeah, it has nothing. It's nothing to do with the color of his skin. It has to do with the fact that he's a rich person.
And that is like things that happen today. You have a ton of money, you can get off anything almost. And
yeah, like Ezra Miller.
Who?
The Flash.
So anyway, so she's all up. So he does get off. They stay. It's at the end of the episode, and Joe hears that, and of course, you have all this again, this crap taking him to the desert, and you think he's going to shoot him.
Yeah, Joe Sleephorn decides to continue being an abusive police chief, and he goes to Mr. Vines' house, breaks in, and then he instigates a fight. He assaults Mr. Vines, and then he kidnaps him, and he takes him to the middle of nowhere, and he threatens to execute him. And, like, yeah, that's the protagonist, guys. That's the guy that we're supposed to root for. This police chief who abuses his power and abuses suspects. And, I mean, all the stuff that he did there, too, that all would have completely made the case, like, thrown out, like, because he did all that stuff. Like, he just sabotaged their own case. But then, of course, Mr. Vines just disappears anyway.
Well, then they go arrest him. They have all these cops going out to arrest him.
No, he disappears at the end after the execution thing.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's like he made that happen too. He instigated that to happen too, Joe Sleephorn. So this whole bullshit about like white justice is just fabricated. It's just an agenda.
And we know how much Marco loves agendas.
Well, I hate bad writing even more, and this episode was bad writing.
That too.
Even without the agenda, it's bad writing.
So anyway, she's mad that he got off. And so that's another reason for her to go to the border patrol, and that is just stupid to say that.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it's the same kind of stuff that's going to happen down there, too. It's called being wealthy and being able to get away with more than anybody else. I guess the same thing happened today, I don't know why that's such a surprise.
I guess nobody gets away at the border patrol, like, all those cartel people, corruption with sex trafficking and things. I guess none of that happens at the border patrol. The border patrol, her excuse went from she wanted a higher position than a man to the border patrol doesn't let anyone get away with anything. The border patrol is the highest power in the universe, apparently. because Emanuelita says so.
So that was really, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, if she wanted to go there because she didn't think she wanted to move up, that's one thing. But then to say she's mad because that guy got away with it, and so she thinks it's going to be better there. I mean, that just really freaked me out.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when O.J. Simpson got away with murder, which was, he wasn't was that white justice, Safi? When he got away with it, was he white? I didn't think he was white.
No.
Oh, well, I guess that's an anomaly, right?
I don't know what. Well, he was wealthy though, and famous, and notorious.
So it's almost like wealth. It's almost like wealth has more to do with it than skin color.
Yeah. So it was not good, and
well, we have to go through it. We have to go through the fact that, well, you just can't go like, okay, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
They just had.
What do you mean? You have to talk about the stupid shit with Mary Landon.
They had these big storylines, and they had to seal all of those up.
Her big contribution to television is that she's going to write an article.
And Emma read she actually had a draft of the article, and Emma read it, and she said, go ahead and publish it. And then she went on, Marco, excuse me. She went on and said that she had their son, and it was her decision. She didn't want to make it the government's decision. And that was the thing about the act that's, sterilized all these women without their consent.
You know what I did?
That's what the story is going to be about. The news.
You know what I did? In that scene, I fell asleep, and I was like, okay, wake me up when this pointless bullshit is over. Because Mary Landon, she's the worst character ever. She has no relevance in anything. Like, her whole character, the whole thing, and then the stupid girl with her stupid baby left. And she's pointless too. It's like, what did her character ever matter to anything except for she was related to a bad guy in season 1? Like, her character was trash too, and she left. And it's like, yeah, I don't fucking care what pointless shit is gonna happen next. Oh, Joe Sleephorn abusing his power more. Yay! That's all we need in America. More abuse of law enforcement. Like, wow. What a hero. What an idol to look up to, somebody who abuses their power. And then at the end of the episode, Jim Chi, I'm not kidding you guys when I say he just randomly shows up with his police uniform on, and it's so random. He's like, I'm doing a thing again or something. It's just so queer. It's so dumb. It's so, like, out of nowhere. Like, what was Jim Chi's arc in season 2? You know a thing called a character arc? It's something that happens when a character goes through a transformation, like in a real show. What was Jim Chi's arc in these measly 6 episodes? What was his character growth? Like, he didn't, spoiler alert, he didn't have any fucking character growth, at all.
Yeah, basically, because he did this investigative work as a, quote, private investigator, but basically, he was just being a policeman without the uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went from the uniform to wearing this crappy polyester suit and being an investigator, back to being a policeman.
It was basically like in the Batman 1960s show where the fucking Bruce Wayne would go down the pole, and then at the bottom he's Batman. That's what it was like. It was like, what's going on here? Oh, he's a policeman now. Yeah. Is he going to abuse his power too?
I don't think so, because they had plenty of opportunities for him to be like that, and he wasn't in the show. He he went up. He actually went to the Vines' house. And,
Yeah, and Mrs. Vines leaves the show too. So
Yeah.
that was the funny thing this episode, and that's how you can tell it is ultra woke, because all the female characters in this whole show, except for Joe Sleephorn's wife, all of them just left the show in this episode. You realize that?
No.
The maid
You're right.
left. The ungrateful bratty girl. She left.
Mrs. Vines.
Mrs. Vines and Emanuelita.
Right.
All of the female characters just got to leave the show and walk off into the sunset so that they could go be strong and independent women. That's really bad.
Wow.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty lazy too, because like you'd think like Safi said in the book, Mrs. Vines gets to have a badass moment where she kills Mr. Vines, and it's like,
No, she kills the bad guy.
what happens to Mr. Vines?
God, I don't even remember.
God, Safi?
I don't remember.
The fuck?
She doesn't kill her husband.
But that sounds a lot better to me, like a badass moment where she gets... Like, they could have given a female character a badass moment like that.
They could have shown it at the end of the episode.
That would have been cool.
Near the end.
I would have liked that. Too bad.
I don't think anything happened to him. I just think he probably got arrested, but they don't really... I don't... And Jim Chi, too, he actually is so much better. I mean, he's more Navajo-like than Leaphorn, which is weird, because Leaphorn doing all that is so antithetical to Navajo culture, that behavior about retribution. It just, and that thing about Indian justice, that's just ridiculous that he would say that. What does that even mean? If that means getting off somebody, that is not what they're not like that at all. That's just, I mean, that's totally, you know what, in the book it says, it's unbelievable. If you get to be like that, so negative, and you want to get back at somebody, and you have all these negative feelings, that's called a dark wind.
Whoa. Which means that's what the season was.
That was, the season should have been
so basically
called Dark Wind, and the series should have been, the whole thing should have been called something else.
In my opinion, their whole concept for this show was that Joe would have dark wind, apparently.
Right. And he
but
did.
Now that's over, because that whole situation is over now. So
well, they have the ceremony. They don't show it, which it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I thought
they couldn't have done that.
I thought they wanted to represent the culture. Why didn't they represent the culture with that?
They make a sand painting.
Oh no! Instead of doing that, we had to have a scene with the baby. Where what happens, Safi?
Well, when they do the ceremony, they do that, but then they're supposed to provide all this food, and all these people are welcome to stay there and eat. So that's what they're doing. They're having a party. That's what they show, and he's holding the baby. The baby is very cute, and the baby, I guess the baby farted. I don't know what happened, but he says, "Oh, the baby farted."
And then it cut to black, and I was like, "Are they going to end the show now?"
Yeah, because that was almost at the very end, and I thought, my God, is that going to be the final line to the show?
That would be very representative of the quality of this show. So, another thing too, like even if you take the book out of it, which I don't know what these people do, like all these people who make excuses for shitty adaptations, they all say to take the book out of the equation. But it's like, wait a second, that's where this show came from. It came from the book.
Well, it came from the books.
But People of Darkness, that whole thing, like, that whole story, they're irrelevant, too. Like, what did the people of darkness have to do with anything for the whole season? Like, nothing.
And that scene where Jim Chi goes there and sees the maid and all that never happened.
That was pointless.
That was the people of darkness. That was just something that happened a long time ago, and the group was actually disbanded. And Vines was, I guess he was a part of it, but all that bringing that up and then going there and spying on them, there was nothing like that.
It's like they took all this stuff from the book and then just changed it all around randomly for no reason. And so none of it makes any sense because what happened in the book made sense.
It did, and it was so much better written.
Everything went together. It's a story with story elements like character. This was just a show. It was a show with random shit happening. Everyone on IMDb can say it's a 10 out of 10, and they can pretend. And there was this one idiot post on Facebook, and it blew my mind. Guys, you're not going to believe this mental retardation. On Facebook, somebody said that Dark Winds is like Twin Peaks. like even if you like the show, how in the hell could you compare Dark Winds to Twin Peaks with the dreams and the supernatural stuff and the just everything? Like, Twin Peaks has no, like, they're not in the same realm at all.
No, they're not, and they're not supposed to be.
No.
So, I don't know what Ann Hillerman is going to do, but I think she better step in a little bit more than what she's been doing. And maybe she feels like she doesn't know enough about TV or something, but really, she knows all about the story.
She needs to go in the writer's room, take out Indiana Jones's whip, and go, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. There's a new sheriff in town here.
Yeah, and that was the thing about Tony Hillerman. The Navajo and all the groups around there, they really liked him and appreciated him because he was so knowledgeable about their culture and incorporating all their culture into his stories and all the names, the environment, everything, the ceremonies, the words, food, every single thing, but not making it to where nobody wants to read it because it's boring or something, but making it really interesting and making people want to go there and or just read the books or at least they would know more about the people who lived there, the Hopi, the Navajo, the Pueblo Indians, all of these people, and they liked him. And this is like, that's why it's so disrespectful. She should take over. They know that people respected them, and her. So I think she needs to step in and take over. And I mean, they like her. So I mean, they don't. And I think she could. Something needs to happen.
The only positive that I have was actually undercut in the opening scene. Because before the episode came out, I checked, is this going to be a shortened, rushed finale? A 30-minute finale? No, it's 53 minutes. But the main villain getting killed in the opening scene...
That was the intro. That wasn't even the...
That makes the 53 minutes irrelevant because the rest of the time you're like, okay, I don't care anymore. Like, the rest of the running time is I don't care.
Or at least if they were going to do that, that would be towards the end, and then they would get Vines, who was the superseding villain.
Yeah.
And then, but the stuff at the end, and she goes off into the sunset to the border patrol. They have that ceremony, and then they're just sitting. They don't even show the ceremony, and they're having this. I mean, that people don't even know. They don't even make that. They don't even say anything. I mean, it would have been better just to have a little bit at the end of the ceremony, show the sand painting or whatever, and then show all the people making the foods. And I mean, how much time would it have taken? I mean, just instead of having this bullshit like that one scene from last week with the Jim Chee spies on the people of Dark, it never happened, and it didn't add anything to the story.
It was pointless. It was irrelevant. Like,
they show Vines there. Remember, Mrs. Vines comes, "You heal me," and I thought that was just to give him. She was doing that to give him some kind of relevance to all those people who were there. You know, like he's a fake person and she's pretending like he heals her, you know. And so it gives him more power and more validity.
it was too bad because there was some tension between the wife and the husband there. And I was really looking forward to some sort of face-off at the house where, like, you know, he seemed pretty scary and pretty, like, predatory, and she seemed kind of wimpy, and, you know, she has that oxygen tank, and I was really looking forward to, like, some sort of a moment between them, but, like, the whole thing with him wanting to know if his wife is cheating, too,
yeah,
he just kind of gives up on that, too, and he just kind of doesn't care anymore, and then she leaves.
Yeah. So it was just very. You had that thing at the beginning, and then you have the thing with the Indian justice versus white justice, which was bullshit, and it very antithetical. I mean, I can understand they don't. This is a common theme through all the books. They don't trust the FBI because they don't know their culture. They don't try. It's like what in diplomacy they call a hardship post, to be out there and they just won't get to know the people and what's going on with them. So I can understand that, but this thing, and it was antithetical to what happened anyway. All the things that happened with Joe Leaphorn grabbing first the real bad, the bomb guy, and dragging through the desert to the police station, and then at the end getting Vines and taking him to the desert, and then threatening to putting a gun to his head, and then changing his mind, and then leaving him there so he can go back home or whatever he does. I mean, it's just stupid and really irritating. It's very disappointing. So I think we've beat the episode, whatever you want to call it, to a pulp. So I'll let you give it your food review. And
the season.
Yeah, the season.
I give this episode an F-.
Well, I gave it a D- because we had missed that part at the beginning. So I just thought that the guy came walking up and he shot him. Because he shot him in the back, and then the bullet...
This finale was worse than Better Call Saul finale, because at least the first half of Better Call Saul finale, Saul, like, outsmarts the people, and he gets his sentence down to, like a year or something at the beginning. Like, that whole part was cool. And if that had been the whole episode, then I would have given that a good grade, but, like, that was better than this. So that's how bad this was, guys. It was worse than Better Call Saul.
So, first the season, I'll let Marco, if he's got his ready.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, I know. Okay, well, I made, last night I made key lime cheesecake. And for that, you have to have a graham cracker crust. And then on the top of it, you put, like, whipped cream and slices of lime. And I left off all that stuff because whipped cream tends to fall, real whipped cream, and turn like liquidy. Eventually, like after last night, it would have. I mean, as you get further, because we wouldn't have eaten a whole cheesecake last night. So I left that completely off, and it was late because we ate really late. And then the crust was, that would be like the basis of the show. The crust, it was too hard, and it didn't come out of the pan right, and I would have to remake it, and actually maybe even take the filling out and put it in a new crust, make a smaller pie or something. And it's kind of like so you miss the stuff on the top that wasn't on it, and then the crust, the basis of the show, was inferior. It just doesn't work out, and that's kind of what happened with this show. So that's what my food review of it is it tasted good, the filling, but it still wasn't complete because it didn't have those other pieces to it. So that's my food review. How about you?
Well, there was this other day where Safi was gonna cut up this apple for lunch, and apples, pretty much all of them look really nice on the outside, and this one looked really nice and pinkish red. It looked really delicious. That's kind of like what I thought. This show, the first 3 episodes I really liked, and I gave them all B pluses, and I thought, well, I really like the show now, after the terrible finale of last season. But then when she cut into it, it was rotten on the inside, and it looked really gross, and, she took one look at it, and then she threw it in the trash, and, that was the second half of the season. It was like, I thought this was going to be really good. I thought they learned their lesson. But no, they made it even worse, because I would say season 1 was a lot better. Because it was more consistent. It had the swimming scene, which was a highlight because it was so hilarious. Because, she's scowling the whole time. Remember that, Safi? She scowled that whole sequence.
And they have to deal.
She goes swimming.
They're constantly dealing with drought, too. And so for them to have a swimming pool, or a swimming hole, I guess it was a swimming hole, is bizarre. Because they don't need a swimming hole. They just need water to drink. And a lot of the people out there on the reservation, they have water barrels to collect any kind of rainwater, and then they'll buy water too at the trading post, and they'll fill up what do you call them, like oil barrels, although they clean all that stuff out, but they fill up barrels, and they have, it's like,
so if you like just looking at a rotten apple that doesn't look rotten on the outside, you can just watch episodes 1 through 3 and then just skip the rest of it, and you can pretend like, yeah, this was really good. But if you cut into that apple, or if you watch the rest of the season, you're going to find out it's rotten and gross.
Well, it's not gross, but it's just so...
It was gross what they did to the story of the book.
Well, it's also what they did to the Native Americans by misrepresenting the Navajo people.
This season,
I don't like that.
To me, I think that this season was like a hate crime towards Native Americans, because
against Navajo.
Yeah.
Because they call white people Belangana, and that was a white thing for him to go take the bad guys out to the desert and drag them around, or hold a gun to their head.
Yeah,
was like a white thing.
That's
that wasn't a Navajo
That's like
thing.
something Safi would do.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Just disregard that. That's BS. Anyway, that's not a Navajo thing. And that was like something they were trying to, I don't know, get people they would think they would like that more if they did abusive things like that. We're constantly fighting against that. What the hell? Why would they do that? So, and
I guess as long as the Native American police person is doing the abuse, it's okay.
And the other thing too really irritated me is the Leaphorns didn't have any kids, and this thing with having a son, it gets blown up. There was never any son, and they didn't have any sheep. And then they had showed him working on a motorcycle, and then in the end they showed him on the motorcycle driving it with Emma on the back. He didn't have any motorcycle. It's just weird. That was okay. That's not anti-Navajo or anything, but that stuff about the police brutality, that's not a Navajo thing. So I don't like that. And I think it's disrespectful and disingenuous. And they don't have anything like that in the book. Joe Leaphorn is very methodical and careful. In fact, she, in this episode, was more like what Leaphorn would be in the books. And she was like this in the books too, looking at everything, being quiet. In fact, he was more like what Leaphorn is supposed to be, which was weird. So, not reactionary. And I think he even knew that Vines had killed the guy. And,
Vines had a shovel with him when he was talking to Jim Chi.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about the shovel. God.
Yeah.
I mean, and they knew that the guy had escaped and that he would probably go there. And, of course, in the book, Leaphorn left a note for the bad guy, about Vines, because he suspected that Vines had hired him. So they all knew that he was going to go there. So it's just BS, and it's very disappointing. Ann Hillerman, I would suggest you get in there and take over and just kind of guide them. And they should read the book series and get to know the characters better. And they should get to know Navajo people better. Because I know, we know this, they've said this, there's not that many Navajos working, at least in the actor department. There's only a few, and maybe they need more Navajos working on the project, the writing, because you're not representing the Navajos very well.
Yeah, even though there's like a commercial about it every week.
Well, there wasn't this week.
Yeah, I guess this week they didn't really care.
I guess not.
They cared more about the
Belangana Justice or whatever.
No, they cared more about another pointless Walking Dead spin-off show.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I saw that. It didn't look good at all.
Guys, please watch this. Guys, please watch this.
Okay, well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please provide some feedback about what you thought about it. Did you think it was a 10 out of 10? Did you read any of the books? Did you read this book, The People of Darkness? Did you see how unlike the book it was? Did you see how, well, they admit this in the books.
Oh,
it's
and...
not they're not both in the book, every book. She and Leaphorn.
And Mary Landon also leaves, so that would be another female character who left.
And she goes back to L.A. to report.
Yeah, she goes there to be the white savior there.
Yeah, but she, in the book, she is not a reporter. She's a teacher, and she does leave. She goes back home. And she and Jim Chi had I told you, had an affair.
I was shouting that I was shouting that the whole season. I was shouting, "Go back where you came from," to her. You know, it wasn't like a racist thing. I was shouting that to her because she's trash.
Well, we'll see if they even bring that up about the article, and if they have a next season. I don't know. So anyway, I think last night too on TV there was this one college game on, but unless you were interested in that, I don't think there was much to watch. So I think people would have watched it. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, goodbye everybody.
Bye.